Hi, everyone. Welcome to the moon forecast for the new moon in Gemini. We have a solar eclipse coming up on June 10th. I'm Kendall Shawhan with the Bohemian Tarot Girl, and this is my co-host, Amy. Amy, you want to give a shout out to yourself?
Hi, I'm Amy Amonette. I'm an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader. We've been doing that for a few years now. And so we are just getting together to talk about some of the upcoming energy so that you can hopefully align with it better and implement some things into your life that help kind of shift your own energy in a really good direction. So,
Make sure if you like what we put out here that you subscribe. Follow us online. I'm at the Bohemian Tarot Girl. Amy's at Wise Moon Energy on Facebook. We have a bunch of neat things going on. So if you're interested in tarot cards, I have a deck that's currently up for sale on Kickstarter. So if you're interested, follow my account. You can find it at thebohemiantarotgirl.com. All right, let's get into this energy because I'm actually kind of excited for it, being that it's
yeah,
the end of the portal.
yeah, we have been leading up to this. I know we've been talking about eclipse season for a couple of months now, and we had our full moon lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago on the 26th, and that kind of was the opening of this portal. But it was also a lot of releasing that has been going on, because we always say that you have to sometimes let go of something or shift something or release before you can start bringing in something else that's more meant for you. And now we're at this solar eclipse, which is happening at the new moon in Gemini. So both the sun and the moon are in Gemini, at the same place in the sky. And solar eclipse will be happening at 3:53 a.m. Pacific time. So we will not be seeing it, but if you're on the East Coast or in other parts of the world, you might be able to see it. They call it a ring of fire eclipse
Yeah.
because the moon doesn't fully eclipse the sun. It just kind of does it enough to like bring a whole like ring of the sun around the moon. So it's probably going to look really cool. I'm wishing we could see it. I
I
guess
know.
we'll get some good pictures.
I was going to say, if anyone is out there taking pictures, send it to us so we can share
Mhm.
mine.
Yeah. So eclipses are like, I mean, they're portals, and we talked about it last at the lunar eclipse that it's kind of like fast tracking you through something or birthing something new in your life. That where you enter the portal when it begins is not where you're going to be. Like things or something in your life is going to look completely different. And it really depends on your own personal chart where Gemini is in your personal chart. And I believe it's Gemini at right around 20 degrees.
Yep.
So it was really interesting because the lunar eclipse, wasn't it like 5 degrees? And so when I was looking at my own chart, they're in completely different houses. The lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse are
Mhm.
happening in two different parts of my chart. So I'm releasing something completely different from what I'm bringing in, apparently. So you might want to take a close look at your chart if you are not sure where your chart is. If you know your birth time, that will help you find which house it's in. And you can get a free chart at astro.com or any other place on the internet.
Yeah.
So this is 20 degrees, Gemini.
And the beginning of the portal was the May 26th eclipse.
Yeah, for this cycle. So we actually had our first Gemini Sagittarius eclipse last year, I think the end of May of 2020. And so this eclipse season will finalize this December. So in the next 6 months, you'll see the completion and the culmination of everything that is kind of beginning right now. Um, and we always talk about the different cycles. So new moon energy sometimes has the 2 week cycle from new moon to full moon and what happens in that 2 weeks. And sometimes it can be a full month from new moon to new moon. Um, and then sometimes a full year from new moon in Gemini to next year's new moon in Gemini. But eclipses are they're a different entity. So we're having something like this is the the fast track portal to the end of the year. And it's pretty potent. There's a lot happening with this, and we've had a lot of intense energy. So this new moon does seem to be a little bit easier to navigate than the last couple of moons we've had. So
Let's hope
it
so.
should be really good. Yeah. Oh, there's always something though, because the synchronicities between what the planets are doing and kind of these
Yeah.
different conversations that are happening between them that are creating this energetic vibe that's everyone is feeling. It's there it There's always something it's never simple, at least not lately, not in the last year. So,
I completely agree with you. So what were you feeling like
mhm.
with this Gemini energy? You kind of pulled something
um
a little bit different than I was thinking.
I there was a lot that I kind of thought, a lot of directions I thought it could go in. um Gemini is it's an air sign, and it is all about communication and expression. And so when I was really looking at this, I kind of felt like this moon in particular has a lot to do with your own personal expression in the world. Um, it is a collective energy, but it's kind of like, how do you personally express yourself and how do you communicate with people? Um, what do you present yourself as? Um, it's, and how you interpret and perceive what is happening around you as well. Because a lot of times the way that we all grow up, and as we grow up we create stories or belief systems that we kind of cling to, and that belief system that we hold kind of shapes everything around us and how we respond and react to our outer world. And so I think a lot of this moon has to do with kind of our own story and how we are interpreting our stories, and then how we are taking those narratives that we have and um, showing up
Yeah.
and expressing ourselves. And your stories, a lot of times, in your belief systems, they can either limit you or help you expand and grow. And I think for a lot of people, especially with this last eclipse, um, there's a lot of shedding that's happening, maybe on stories that you've been holding on to or clinging to that aren't necessarily the truth. Like maybe you've really thought that was your personal truth, um, but you're kind of being shown maybe that's not really how it is. And we have some planets in play that are really helping to express that and make that happen. Um, because not only do we have the sun and the moon in Gemini right now, but they are also joined in Gemini at the exact same place as Mercury, which is retrograde
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
now. We love
Favorite time.
Mercury retrograde. I was stuck in traffic for no reason for 30 minutes yesterday on a drive that usually takes me 5. um, so when Mercury goes retrograde, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, um, so it's kind of like in its home sign. And so it's kind of, even though we're being kind of pushed forward into this new way of being and this fast track portal, we have this Mercury in retrograde that's kind of being like, well, let's kind of revisit some things, and maybe we'll reconsider this thing that we thought we were done with. Um, Mercury retrograde is, especially in Gemini, which is a communication sign.
Mhm.
You may find that people from your past are showing up. Um, it's always fun times when the ex-boyfriends arrive, knocking on your door.
I got an old
Or
friend that messaged me on Facebook. I was like,
You're like, yeah, I haven't heard from you in a while, but
yeah.
it brings things back around, and maybe it's something that needs to be looked at differently, or maybe there's conversations that you need some closure on, or revisiting some energetic cycle that isn't complete.
Mm,
It just gives you a chance to kind of reevaluate and wrap things up, and it's we have that going on, and then we have all of these, the sun, the moon, and Mercury are squaring Pisces, in Neptune, or Neptune and Pisces. I always mix that up. Yeah, Neptune and Pisces. And um, Pisces is your intuition and your kind of dreaming and all of these. And so it's kind of coming in, and there's some information that when it's squaring, it's a tense energy. It's not an easily flowing energy. And so um, it's kind of allowing right now, maybe you don't have all the information.
yeah, I would agree.
There's things that are still hidden, there's pieces of a puzzle that you're missing. Um, and that's going to start changing. But I think that, when we enter these eclipses, especially on a new moon and you're setting intentions, it's like things start feeling like they're moving really fast, but there's information that's going to be coming to light, or epiphanies, or things that you need to have in order to really dive headfirst into whatever's happening, that aren't going to be available. But I think over the next couple of months, the big picture is going to be made known, and it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's.
I'm feeling that's going to come right around November.
Yeah.
There's going to be some, big things coming to light. It's going to be an interesting, I think, end of the year, but
Yeah. And for now, it's just, it's hard when you can't see all the pieces and you feel like you have to move. Like some people get really stuck if they can't see. And so this is kind of an act of trust, and surrender. I kept hearing the word when I was going through all this stuff, like it's an act of surrender. And there's something very powerful about being able to surrender to what's happening around you and not be resistant, or have a lot of fear around it. It's just this like kind of trust that you're going to be carried towards what's meant for you. And I really think this energy is propelling people into a direction that maybe they never even considered, or maybe they kind of like always felt they wanted to go to, but weren't sure how to get there. Like it's going to kind of move them
yeah.
in that way.
Well, we always got to consider with, this Gemini energy that it speaks to that like duality in our life, right? Like we have this soul connection and we are a soul, but we also have this physical side to us that is here on the earth. And we each have this like, a lot of times we have like almost conflicting demands upon it. And it's really about like coming through and recognizing both sides and kind of blending that together. And with that, you have the change in like the collective conscious as well as your internal change. That's what I was feeling for that movie.
There's so much
I
changing.
know. There is. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, it's okay.
Yeah, even being collective though, it's like I wasn't going to come with any quotes, but there's one that's totally popping into my mind and I'm probably going to botch it, but it's along the lines of like you can't change anything until you change yourself. And when you change yourself, like everything around changes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally not the quote, but we're winging it from there.
Yes.
We're going with it.
Putting down.
You get the idea. It's like, if, there was, and changing your, going back to changing your narratives, if you're always in that mindset of I have to do everything myself, you're going to keep trying to like make things happen on your own when really what it requires is perhaps a collaboration, or allowing people to step in and take care of the parts that you don't take care of. And if you're someone who And I'm a little autobiographical right now, but if you're someone who has not necessarily ever had people show up for you, or you've put your trust in people and they've let you down, and so you've kind of taken on this role, like, if I'm going to make anything happen, I have to do it myself. You're limited into what you allow. And with that comes, we always talk about intention setting with the new moons. And one of the things that I think a lot of people forget is, yes, you can create these intentions and you can ask for things and you can know that the universe can provide them. But you also, and this is one that has glaringly showed up for me in the past couple of months, starting with like Scorpio full moon, is that you also have to be receptive and allow yourself to receive what is coming. Because if you sit and think that you have to make it all happen, you're not leaving space for things to happen for you and to embrace that element of it. And a lot of times people will say, well, it comes down to feeling like you're worthy, but it's also not just that you're feeling like you're worthy, but that you have the ability to trust that it can happen for you without you having to do it. So just an element of kind of working when you're setting your intentions is maybe look at your dialogues around, maybe I know a lot of people, especially people who are into looking at energy and stuff, a lot of them are empaths. A lot of them will do things for everybody else.
Mhm.
They'll be the first to compliment, they'll be the first to help you out if you need help. But energy is a free flowing thing that needs to go both directions. And you need to make sure that not only are you giving, but you're also allowing people to give to you.
Yeah.
And create that cycle so that more abundance can flow in.
Yeah, I think that's where we get stuck a lot of times. And that was something that's really come up with me is that, you know, all these things that we want to manifest into our life is all on energy. And it's you getting on that same frequency of it to receive it. And
Mhm.
oh man, that I was just like, why have I not like thought about it in those terms?
Yeah, and it's the same thing with money. It's a free flowing energy.
Yeah.
A lot of times people get stuck in that lack mentality, like they're never gonna have enough money, and it's not going to, they don't know how to get it to flow towards them. But it's just it's another form of energy, and it flows one way and it goes the other way. And so you need to have the give and take of both, and receive and release. And that's what we try to do with all these moon cycles. You release something, you receive something, but you have to make sure that your own personal energy, you're receptive as well as giving. And and that's a Gemini duality too, I think.
Yeah.
um
Sure.
so it's yeah,
No,
it's
that's a perfect
it's a
point.
tough one.
It is because we've been called very recently, with these, prior moon energies to really do that um, thoughtful reorganization as far as like how we feel about certain things, changing our mindsets. And now we are kind of coming into that other energy where you do also just have to like open yourself up to like naturally things flowing in kind of thing. You can't always have that control that some of the other energies have wanted maybe you to have. So
And it's important, I think, to look at the narratives, um, where that stems from, because I think a lot of times when you are like when you're younger and you want something, um, you get told that you have to earn it,
yeah.
or that you're selfish for wanting that, or you
Mhm.
have to share it with everybody. And these are things that are kind of instilled, or there's just different ways that we are told that we can't have what we want. and that stems into deeper
Oh, so deep.
deeper things. um and so take a look. I mean, I keep saying it, but take a look at what stories you've been telling yourself about what you're allowed to have and what you're not allowed to have, or how you can show up in the world, or how you have to keep yourself hidden.
Yeah.
um Whether for a lot of people, um women especially, they're told that they um need to, be quiet, that it's harder, I think, for women to express themselves, because when they express certain emotions or assert themselves, they, some
They get
in
labeled.
history have been called names or burned at the stake, or
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot, and it's generational. And I keep telling my daughter, like, every generation things are shifting a little bit, to be more balanced and more in favor, but there's a lot that has to be undone. And new moons were here to set intentions and move forward, but also with eclipses, I mean, this whole year there's been so much shedding of old stuff, so that we can start moving forward. And that brings up one of the other energies that's currently happening, and it happens 3 times this year. We have the Saturn Uranus square that happens. And it's a 20-year energy that this kind of culminates. And so we're heading in on the June 14th. So right after this new moon,
Mhm.
just a few days after, we are going to have Saturn is in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus, and they're squaring off with each other. Um, and, Saturn is the ruler of kind of like time and karma and rules. And it's that kind of restrictive energy. And Uranus is the complete opposite. It's about freedom and breaking through. And so, having this square come together, there's going to be some tension around um, kind of liberating yourself from something. And that can be a collective energy too,
Yeah.
a collective liberation.
Mhm.
um, when these things happen, these squares, there's sometimes you just don't really, you can't really anticipate or know how that's going to show up. um, and it can kind of feel a little tense for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes you see it show up obviously in the collective as the collective energy, and something that affects us more as a whole. But then some people feel it more strongly in their personal lives. So it's okay. It's just that you need to be aware of some of these certain shifts so you're not maybe caught off guard.
yeah.
I'm just trying to embrace
um,
them.
and so, going along with the theme of everything else that's happening in your own narratives, how I kind of looked at it was that it's giving you a chance to break free of some of your own personal restrictions and step into more alignment with your true self. Um, and that's, I think, a lot of the energy lately has really been trying to do that, to move people forward, to stop like their self-limiting beliefs and the restrictions that society has put on like how you should work and how you should, you know, react, and how
Yeah.
you should show up for yourself and your family and your life. So there's a lot happening here. And in 6 months, I think we're going to have a much bigger understanding of all of these things that are starting to take place now, and what we're ushering in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the big reveal.
I
I
just
want
want to
to
know.
hear stories at the end of this as to what happens.
Oh dear.
Mhm.
So you pulled a couple of you got a new deck, right? Oracle
Yeah,
deck? It's
I got
multiple
a new
parts.
oracle deck yesterday, and it's the
I want
Shaman's
to.
Dream Oracle. And I have the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, which I love because the cards are
Okay.
beautiful. But this one's the Shaman's Dream. And so
Give the
I was
box.
just playing around with it and thought I would pull a couple cards for this energy. And it actually turned out perfect. So the first one I drew was this one. It's backwards. The Netcaster. And this card is talking about how it's time to, like, you don't need to keep wishing, and you don't need to keep dreaming for things, and you don't need to keep asking for things, because it's already there. You just have to, like, give yourself permission to throw out your net and get it. Like,
Mhm.
it's all right in front of you. You don't have to work so hard for it, but the thing is that you have to allow yourself to receive. So you have to give yourself permission to go after it, and take what's already there waiting for you, because it's meant for you. It's yours. You're the only one that's holding yourself back with that energy. And then the second card that I drew, just to get a little clarification on it, was this one, and it's the Fortune's Wheel. And this card is probably, I mean, I haven't looked through the whole deck, but based on reading this card and what it represents, it's kind of like everything is the right timing, everything is coming together for you. There's no limits on what you can have right now. Basically, you set your intentions and they are good to go. But you have to be open to receiving again. So here we are back at the same. Are you open to receiving?
Yep. Make sure that your receivers are open and ready.
Yeah.
'Cause I am.
Guess what the journal prompt.
Huh? Oh, what was the journal prompt? You're froze a little bit, but it's okay.
What stories are you telling yourself? Um,
Ah,
oh, I just have guess what. Good. You know, well, we'll have them out and ready on all of our pages and stuff and the website. But yeah, it's, you're the only one holding yourself back at this point, and
true.
really trusting the universe to take you where you're meant to go is going to be crucial right now, and surrendering to it.
And
So,
then I drew a card while we were talking, and I got the Six of Cups. And well, yeah, which is interesting because it's that nostalgia, like looking back at the past. And so with this in itself, it's great to look back in the past and to glean and take knowledge that you've learned and to apply it to your future. Don't live in your past. Really focus on using lessons learned from the past into your future. Don't let it limit you. This card is all about joy. So find the joy in your life, everyone.
with Mercury being retrograde, though, it could potentially be that something from your past is
Ma.
coming back around, because to have a better look at it or a better understanding,
Oh man,
or
let's not think about Mercury retrograde.
or maybe there was like an opportunity that you were trying to get off the ground before and something
Mhm.
happened. This might be where it comes back around, because it's right timing too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, don't dwell in the past. We're looking future forward.
Yeah, exactly. Don't I
To
think
look at
people
what might be coming back and why.
yeah. I mean, I definitely whenever I pull that card, a lot of people sit and dwell in that past and that is it's like inhibits them from actually moving forward. So the card itself is like this joyful card that calls you to do joy in your life, but there's that, almost like that warning, like don't live in your past. So even if it's something that's coming up in Mercury retrograde, look about how you can apply it to your future. Don't
Yes.
dwell on the past events
No.
with it.
Yeah. No. We're not living in the past anymore.
Don't let it stop you.
Yeah. And so we always set intentions at new moons, because as the moon goes from being dark to being full, that's allowing your intentions to grow with it. Um, and so this is, I mean, prime opportunity. Like, ask for the world, dream big. You don't have to limit yourself with this, but make sure that it's something that you're really aligned with.
Yeah.
Like, that feels good to you and that you feel is meant for you. This isn't, you don't want to ask for things that aren't meant for you, obviously, because, sometimes what you ask for, you do end up getting, and you have to be prepared for that. So make sure that it's what you want. But also, like, I feel like with this eclipse energy, it would be a really good time to and it being in Gemini, which is about communication, to sit down and maybe write a letter to yourself in 6 months and really let the words flow and let it be kind of intuitive and spirit led. This isn't like creating a step by step plan, but what do you want your life to look and feel like in 6 months' time? Is there some dream that you've kind of been harboring that you haven't necessarily felt was possible? But all the energy right now is pointing that everything that is meant for you is coming together and it's entirely possible to happen. So,
Yep. You just gotta want and believe in it. Make sure you're aligned
mhm.
with that energy. So, all right. Well, do you have anything else to add about the no?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate that you follow this moon forecast. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow us online. We'll be posting the journal prompts kind of across the board, so you'll find it somewhere there. Everyone have a great new moon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.